Diane, the Creative Inkster, and today is Tuesday, July 26, 2022, and I'm here to share a Technique Tuesday with you. This is the card that I am going to somewhat replicate and share some tips with you about, including a way that you can do it without the specific die that I did use for it. So I'm glad you're here, and if you're watching live, please leave me a comment. If you're watching the replay, just let me know that too. I always like to check in and read your comments and know that you've been watching along. So normally I'm on at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm an hour early tonight because I have my class tonight. My Avid Stampers class is at 6:30, so it's kind of hard to be in two places at once. And rather than doing a pre-recorded, I thought I would come on live a little bit sooner. I know you'll be able to watch the replay. All right, let's add a little light on the subject. Okay, so I made this card quite some time ago because this paper's retired, the stamp set's retired, but there's something about it that I just love. Beyond best friends forever. I absolutely just love the colors and the way the circles fell and all of that. And I would like to share some tips about how you can recreate it. So it comes from this set of dies here. It's 2 dies. I'll be honest, I don't use the rectangular one quite as often. This has 3 then obviously slats that are rectangular that are stitched that would come out, but I do use the circle one a lot. And I keep them in the sleeve that they came in, but I also keep the leftover bits, so I never know when I might need them. This was one that I cut, as you can see here, to have some white pieces that I used on one of my cards or projects. And then in here I have some other colors. So I just kind of hang on to those. I think there's even more sticking on the back here, just in case I decide I need them or want to kind of replicate something with them. This is the one we're going to go with for today. I'll give you the measurements of the paper that you need in order to make it work. Hi Vicki, welcome. Now if you don't have this die and you don't want to invest $46, which was the last time I checked is the price for the 2 dies, you could use any circle dies as well. You could just lay them down on your cardstock. You might have to do them, if you only have one this size, one this size, and one this size, you might have to lay them down a couple of times around, and you wouldn't get the stitched look necessarily, but you can replicate this in the same way. You could punch, that would take a little bit of lining up, but I think the dies would work somewhat too. Radio, excuse me. So we're going to start from the bottom. This is my card base. It's 11 inches long by 4 1/4 inches wide. I scored it at 5 1/2, which is the middle, and so it is a top opening card. Okay, there we go. That's good. That's done. We can tuck that aside. We're going to run through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine with this die 3 times because I want to use the pattern paper. That's this one you see in my sample here. And then I want some with the leaves that I'm going to fill in the holes. And then I want some just plain pink ones, I think is what I was going to do. And then the green is the layer on top. So my card base, my layer on top, and then these ones that I'm going to run through. Now before I get going all crazy like with my pattern paper, I'm first going to kind of play with the location of the die. It does not have to go the way that I had it before, which is like this. That's just what I chose, the way it went down. It doesn't have to be even. You can play around with it. You can stick it on a bit of a diagonal. So I'm just playing so that I can see if I were to position it, say here, I would have some lovely ones that get cut out. Maybe if I go this way, there we go. So if I go this way, I'm going to have this beautiful flower, these ones, and this one. So that's the direction I want to go with. It's only important on the one where you're going to reuse the pieces. So let me pull the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine in. Oh, okay, thanks for letting me know, and Val, that you'll watch it later. And I'm just sticking it on the plate, put my cover piece on there and running that through. Sorry for the wiggly, but my camera is on the same table as my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right, so I'm just picking this piece up because it kind of got stuck. What happens with this die is it punches out the 6 circles. And then there's my base piece that's going to go down on the card. So I'm going to tuck these aside. They're beautifully stitched, so I can use them again. They'll go back in my little bin. And then the next piece I'm going to do is this one. This is the Wonderful World paper. It has a matching stamp set through Celebration, and it's free with a $120 order. Now, because this pattern really doesn't matter, I may actually, no, I'm just going to go on the one side. It really doesn't matter where I cut them out because it's such a flowing pattern. I could try and cut it from the other side and look for circles that will be full flowers, but the stitching is on one side, or more obvious on one side as the right side. So I'm going to pull these ones out. I don't know which ones I'm going to use yet, so I'll just pull those out, and then I'll keep this piece for another card. And then I'm going to take a piece of Flirty Flamingo, which is one of the colors in there, and I'm going to do the same thing again and just cut the circles out with this one. There we go. And so to use these pieces, all 3 of them were 3 3/4 by 5 inches, just to give you an idea. That was the measurement of all of them. So I can use that one again too. I think that's all our die cutting. Oh no, I have one more thing to die cut. And on our saving paper talk today, this is the piece of Pear Pizzazz that's going to go on my layer. But I want to cut something out of it so I don't waste this whole piece that's hidden behind. And I'm using the Amazing Thanks dies. I've already cut out a piece of the Flirty Flamingo and put some adhesive sheet on the back, so I'm ready for that. But then I'm just going to put this in the middle of my green, because the middle you're not even going to see when it's tucked in my card. And I'm going to cut the larger layer mat piece, I guess you'd call it, from the thanks right out of there. And that's not going to affect anything I'm doing there, but then I get another piece of green, so I don't have to waste and go and get another piece of paper. All right, let's get this stuff out the way, then we can get to assembling. All right, so these Amazing Thanks dies are kind of neat, because with one die you get the matte piece where the A is not cut out and the K and the S are, because the whole word will be. There we go. But then there's a more detailed piece that comes like that, and you just layer them on that together and you get a two-tone look. So I like these. I haven't used them in a little while, but I really do like them. All right, so first my card base, and because I did my cutting out in the middle, this whole piece is going to work. So let's get that glued down. The only time I find it doesn't work really well to cut something out of the center is if you have a white base and a white layer, because I think the white is a little too thin, but I'm using full-on cardstock here, and this is the thick basic white. So you're not going to see, but if you used just our regular basic white that we use for stamping and such, you might see that opening a little bit, that the words showing through where you cut it out. You can punch as well, punching, die cutting, whatever. Right, back to our sample. This piece is going to go on top. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. Don't worry about what we're going to see there, because we're going to fill in all these holes. So let's get this glued down first. And I'm going to be careful to go on the outside edges. Not so much that it squishes out, but so that it doesn't squish into the circles. No big deal, because I'm going to fill those circles in, but still. And this did have an obvious up to it, so I'm going to follow that. There we go. Now it's like a little puzzle. I can find the pieces that I want to fill in. Oops, get the right size pieces. And fill them in where I like. Now I could also emboss some of these pieces or stamp on them beforehand. Lots of choices. Just doing a really quick insertion here to see how I want this to come out. It's kind of nice to mix these up a little bit. Maybe what I'd rather do is the big one here. Yeah. Oh yeah, look at me changing up my mind already. Move this guy up here, this guy over here. I don't know, what do you think? Oops, that guy's wanting to get in there. There we go. Maybe this one down there. And then I'm going to add some other pieces to it. And I like that I chose this pattern here because it is wavy and sort of all over the paper and not a straight up and down, which would make positioning a little bit more interesting. I mean, the other option is to go in and make them all one color like this. Right? So that's another option. And if you wanted to stamp on any of these layers, I would recommend that you get stamping first. That just may go over a little bit better. What did I end up doing? Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't know, there's something about this not being balanced and I can't figure out what it is. I didn't pre-plan this, that's for sure, right? Anybody out there going, oh, what is she doing? What is she doing? Oops, what is she doing? Let's get this straight. Oh, that's the big piece. Yeah. I don't know. Here we go. Okay, that's a little more balanced, I think. I think anyway. I can always glue the piece on top. In fact, you could put them on and then you could pop them up too and you'd see some of the other colors underneath. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and glue them down. Now it's time to put the pedal to the metal, and I want to try to line up the stitching a little bit. You probably can't see that, but I'm trying to line the stitching up for the two lines of stitching around it. No big deal if I don't, but just thought I would give that a whirl. I'll do this one, but I do like this idea because you can now cut 3 pieces and you have the nuts and bolts for 2 or 3 full-on cards. And you could just mix and match them whichever way you like. And I'd like to see somebody who would take the circle punches or circle dies and give that a whirl and see how that would work. All right. This might have been a bit of a busy pattern to put with the other busy pattern. Did I glue that guy down? No, not yet. That's okay. Alrighty. So again, this is called the Picture This dies. So the rectangular one, which I've mostly used with leaves and sort of that color scheme. Okay, and then my greening is going to kind of go across here, and that's going to kind of even the tones out a little bit. I mentioned I put adhesive on this, and we have adhesive sheets that we sell in 6 by 12 inch pieces, and you just put them on your cardstock or your pattern paper first, and then die cut through the other side. It's kind of important that you get the adhesive on the right side. And I never worry if it tears as I'm pulling the pieces off because it's going to stick down anyway, and I can just marry it back up. No problemo. All right, whoopsie, that didn't hit the garbage bin. All right, so I'm going to get my blank or matte piece here. And then I found with these, if you just start at one end, hold it down, you can kind of line them up as you go along. And they fit in quite nicely, actually. They're always more challenging when you're doing it on camera. You don't want to goof it up. And then the S, come on, you. So it has thanks, you are amazing. And I think you get a lot out of it too, because you could cut that off and have it be thank you too. All right, so this one is a little bit larger for adding the glue yourself, or you could always add an adhesive sheet there, or you could use little mini dimensionals. Okay, here are my circles for another project, and they don't even have to fit in. They could just go on to a card layer like this with a whole bunch of circles overlapping and just making it fun, right? And you could just use that as a little montage for another card. There we go. How quick is that? All right, so I'm going to put a few little dimensionals on these. I don't think I have any of the minis quite handy. That's a-okay. I can just cut these ones up and add them on easily enough. You can even tear these, and they fit just fine. I don't need them in every nook and cranny. Just enough to be able to fit on my card. I have a little bit of a longer, skinnier piece on the edge. That's what the edge of these dimensionals are great for. But the minis would be kind of perfect. Probably why we sell them, right? Put one here, put a little guy here, maybe one down on the end. And we are good to go. Peel off the backs. Peel off the backs. There we go. There we go. And then we get our thanks across there. Whoops, a little piece of backing paper. Stuff sticks everywhere. Okay, now it needs a little bit of embellishment. And I was kind of wondering what I wanted to go with. These are called pastel pearls. They've been around a while. I've had this package for quite a while and just haven't used them up. And I was kind of thinking the pink might work, or even that purple. Yes, that purple color is perfect. This is actually rich raspberry, and I think this Highland Heather in here, but honestly, you wouldn't know the difference. They match so nicely, being such a lighter hue of the same color. So we'll put another one over here on the circles. And that's our card. Pardon me. So let me show you the two. I still love this one, and I still plan to keep it on my shelf. And then I've got this fun one that I can give out as a thank you card. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, hi, Lise. I'm just looking up now and seeing that you've joined. Thank you so much for being here. It's really appreciated. And I hope that you'll get some ideas out of using this and cutting out your words from your back layers, because once you get other pieces on, you can't even see that I cut that out of the green, and that just saves you a little bit of extra paper, and it all goes a long way. Thanks, friends. I'll be back here on Monday, August 1st, planning to. It's a holiday Monday, but I'm planning to be here anyway, and I'll have a fun project for us to do then. Have a great week. Bye for now.